Today on Dr. Phil. A desperate search.
Can I speak to you for a second?
For a missing teen.
Is she in your apartment?
Her parents are divorced and divisive.
Janet's a terrible mother.
I pulled myself away from trying to involve him.
By moving further and further away from me.
She's disappeared before.
Your daughter has been rescued from a prostitution ring and you're not there when she gets back?
No, I wasn't.
Are they to blame for their runaway child?
This girl would rather run away than stay in this environment controlled by the two of you. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. This is Darbi, a bright, beautiful 16-year-old. She may look like your average American teen girl, but sadly, she is anything but. Because right now, police are on the hunt for this young girl, and her innocent photo is now plastered on missing posters. Darbi disappeared on October 15th. Take a look.
We're on the way to Santa Rosa, California to follow up on the lead regarding Darbi. Hey, Mike Aramwong, can I speak to you for a second?
We'll get to that later, but as you can see, no one is actually sure where Darbi is, and everyone, including the police, are worried that she may be the victim of sex trafficking. Again. That's right, I said again. Shockingly, this isn't the first time Darbi has disappeared. A year ago, the then 15-year-old ran away from home and was victimized. The man accused was arrested, and Darbi was returned home safely. Now, you'd think that after that horrifying ordeal, Darbi's parents, Janice and Wayne, would band together to make sure their little girl was safe. Well, Janice's sister, Camille, says those divorced parents are so busy feuding that they haven't even spoken since Darbi's recent disappearance.
I desperately need help to find my niece Darbi. This is not the first time Darbi has gone missing. In November of 2015, she was the victim of human sex trafficking. I really fear that she could be involved in sex trafficking. Again, I really hope that she's not. It's been nearly 3 weeks since Darbi left home, but Janice and Wayne don't call each other. They barely update each other through text messages. It's frustrating and it's infuriating watching these two adults who can't put their differences aside to come together for their child. She's missing. Janice and Wayne should be calling the detectives every day so we can find Darbi. I want to shake them and tell them, wake up, come together, let's find her. They need to grow up. They're so busy hating each other that they have completely lost focus. This is why Darbi's missing. Janice and Wayne continue to place blame on each other for Darbi's issues. Wayne thinks that Janice has put her career and her relationships before her children. I have seen texts where Wayne has using the B word, the word, saying things about her being a lesbian. Janice complains that Wayne does not do anything. Wayne probably doesn't take much time to be in his kid's life. She's making it hard on him. I refuse to just sit around and wait for the police to do something. I contacted the Dr. Phil show so that we could get pressure on the police department to look for Darbi. Darbi, if you are watching this, please come home. We miss you so much.
Well, Janice admits she didn't call Wayne. She didn't even call him when their daughter disappeared again because she says he is an absentee dad. And the last time Darbi went missing and then was recovered, she says he didn't even bother to see her for 8 months after she had been rescued from being sexually trafficked. But Wayne says he should not have to find out from a group text and Facebook post that his own daughter had disappeared for a second time.
When Darbi went missing, I posted on Facebook seeing if anybody had any information. Wayne saw this post and contacted me to see what was going on. I didn't contact Wayne after Darbi went missing because he hasn't been involved in parenting her. My ex-husband is a self-centered.
I would have expected a phone call where we could talk about it, where we could see what we needed to do to help find her. It's scary not knowing where my daughter is. I'm angry with Janice. I don't think Darbi had the proper supervision. This isn't the first time that Darbi's gone missing. Last year, she was missing from her mother's house for a week, and she got involved in human sex trafficking, and now she's missing again.
Since the sex trafficking incident, Darbi has gone downhill, and I've seen her spiral out of control. A couple days after Darbi went missing again, she deleted her accounts and everything went silent. My heart sank and I felt like she could be dead or something could be worse.
Beyond social media, I wouldn't know where else to look for Darbi right now. I'm just waiting for news. I'm just waiting for somebody to find her. Being a parent is hard enough, let alone having to worry about your daughter running away.
I felt desperate, so I contacted the DA's office. They immediately got an investigator involved who's been helping me.
I know that Janice is in contact with the police and that they're doing everything they can to find her. I haven't been able to help much. I live in Idaho. It's not like I could drive out to California and start looking up and down the street. I have a job. I think we'll be able to find her. There's really nothing I could do. I do pray for my daughter's safety.
Okay, let me be real clear. I'm here for one reason, and that's to help find her. That's my primary reason for being here. My secondary reason for being here is to figure out a way to keep her safe and at home once we do find her. Are you concerned about her safety?
I've been worried that if I'll ever even see her again.
But you didn't write into the show, you wrote into the show.
Correct.
What prompted you, her aunt, to write into the show?
I felt very desperate, and I watched the show a lot. I've seen your shows, and I knew that's the resources. We need somebody who has those resources to find her.
Well, you were frustrated that they didn't seem to be doing much, and that they weren't even talking and coordinating their efforts.
I do think that Wayne should have had a phone call when she went missing. And I do think they need to be on the phone talking every day. They can't argue at this point. They need to agree. This show is about tough love for you and you. It's time. You have to come together for your daughter.
So a year ago, she ran, and she wound up with someone that put her into prostitution, correct?
Yes.
And so at the time she was 15, right?
Yes.
Do you know the details of that?
The exact details I don't.
Didn't you say you don't want to know?
I know the big picture of it. I haven't cared to get intimate with the details of it because it's horrific. You know, it's something that's happened right now, again.
Yeah, do you think maybe if you had gotten intimate with the details of it, you might be more motivated to rescue her from this now? Because here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, you're telling me that you have a daughter, a minor, 16 years old, that has run away for reasons I don't yet understand. And we know that when she ran away before, she got forced into prostitution, and this was a very ugly and dangerous existence. That's what happened a year ago, and she has run back to that. So something's going on here that this girl would rather run towards that than stay in this environment controlled by the two of you. So
it's an environment that's...
What is it?
It's an environment that's entirely controlled by Janice.
She was rescued from that situation before, and you didn't see her for 8 months after she got back?
That's not true. I had them for Christmas that year. You know, they were at my house for 2 weeks.
How long had she been back?
Like a month. You know?
Well, that's not what we were told.
No, that's the truth.
When she got back, you weren't standing there on the curb.
No, I wasn't in California.
Why?
You know, I've let Janice.
Your daughter has
be the
been
parent
rescued
there.
from a prostitution ring, and you're not there when she gets back?
No, I wasn't. I'm not proud of that.
He blames everything on me moving to California. If I wasn't in California, this wouldn't happen. If I wasn't in California, this wouldn't happen. If I wasn't in a lesbian relationship, Darbi wouldn't be this way. Instead of taking accountability and assisting me, I just get resistance from him, which is why he says that I've done all the parenting. I pulled myself away from trying to involve him because I'm tired of the finger pointing.
By moving further and further away from me. Every single time.
You didn't even look for her the first 24 hours, right? You said, she does this all the time. She'll be back.
I did look for her. I contacted her friend that day. I also contacted I sent out a group text to a bunch of her friends, but I didn't physically go and look for her until the next day. Or I didn't call the police until the next day.
Did you say she does this all the time?
She does.
She'll be back?
Yes, I did.
Wayne says Janice is a terrible mother who can't control his daughter. He says it's Janice's fault that his daughter is out on the street. He says she's exposed her to sex, drugs, and has traumatized Darbi with her live-in relationship.
I blame Darbi's problems on Wayne. He's been completely MIA in our kids' lives.
Janice is a terrible mother. She's directly exposed my children to drugs, sex, and porn in a lesbian environment.
And later,
Janice called Darbi and told her that she was worried about you, that you may have committed suicide.
did you think at the time she had overdosed?
I was worried about her, yes.
When's the last time you talked to her?
On Snapchat, she says she was just going off the grid completely. Darbi hangs out with a lot of older men. She liked having the money, and she liked having the freedom, because she doesn't want to be found, honestly.
And what makes you come up with this conclusion?
Because Darbi was never happy with home life, and the way her mom was treating her, these were her words, she felt kind of like trapped.
Janice and Wayne's 16-year-old daughter, Darbi, has been missing, and it's not the first time. In November of 2015, she went missing and was sex trafficked by a much older man. But instead of coming together to find her this time, all these parents can do is point fingers and play the blame game. Take a look.
I blame Darbi's problems on Wayne. He's been completely MIA in our kids' lives.
Janice keeps moving further and further away.
Even when I lived in the same city as him, he didn't help me parent the kids. Darbi's sexual behavior became so severe and so bizarre that Shannon and I wondered if something had happened between Darbi and Wayne, and that was why she was searching out older men.
It's appalling, and I would never do anything like that. Janice is a terrible mother. She's directly exposed my children to drugs, sex, and porn in a lesbian environment. Darbi went to the psychiatric hospital 2 or 3 times now when it hasn't helped her. They kind of walk around like zombies.
He doesn't understand that Darbi has mental illnesses and isn't even able to tell me one of her diagnoses. It's Wayne's lack of parenting that has forced me to make decisions that I normally wouldn't have made.
Did you just say on the tape that you think that he has molested his daughter?
I wondered because of her bizarre sexual behavior. And she's seeking out older men.
What do you base that on?
When I've talked with people, counselors, and her stuff, like when she's gone into the facilities, when I've talked with them, they've asked me, like, has she been molested? Why is she seeking out these older men? And so I base that on the fact that Darbi is searching for older men and doing I'm the one that sees all the things. I read her texts. When we talk about he didn't want to know the details, the police officer came to my work and brought the pictures that Darbi had posted of herself, the nude pictures. I've seen and heard the amount of sexual contact that she's into, and I don't know why or where that's coming from. I'm not blaming him for anything. It was me trying to reach out to what is going on with Darbi.
You're suggesting that he may have molested his daughter. How dare you make that accusation? You have no basis whatsoever for suggesting that about this man. I have been through her records, top, side, and bottom. There is not one shred of evidence, clinically, historically, or otherwise, that suggests he has ever been inappropriate with his daughter. How dare you make that reckless accusation?
She has told me comments that he's made about her breasts that I feel are inappropriate to make about your daughter.
I have said that Darby's a very mature young lady, and that's the extent of that.
I don't know why you two behave the way you do. I've looked at some of the text exchanges between Wayne and Janice demonstrating their contentious relationship. May 12, 15, Wayne, I don't think it's possible to hate someone more than I hate your dumb ass. 4/16, 15, Janice, I will not hear your excuses to ditch your kids. Wayne, go blank yourself, you blank bitch. Don't tell me how to run my life. 6/10, 15, Wayne, blank dumbass. Wayne, just your gay lifestyle is enough to influence him. Blanking makes me sick. Janice, I also have called to see if you have set up counseling for Darbi or if you're ignoring her other needs as well. Wayne, you're the problem, stupid. Janice, if you contact me again about anything other than visitation or things with the kids, or if any of your future texts are harassing or degrading, I will contact the police. This is your final notice. Comments about gays are considered harassment and are punishable by law. Wayne, stupid, you do what your dumbass has to do. Seriously?
I'll take accountability for this. We've had a terrible time getting along since we've been divorced. Janice feels it's her responsibility to share this stuff with our children.
I don't take the text and show them to my kids, but I'm with my kids interacting. So when he sends those kind of things, it comes through on the screen. My son has looked over and read them.
Next, we're going to meet Shannon, who Wayne blames for some of Darbi's drug-related behaviors. We'll be right back.
Shannon is a she. I feel that it's laughable that Janice should be allowed to be married to this woman. When I see two women walking down the street with my children next to them, it hurts me inside. This is where we're at as a society. Shannon has brought my children to gay pride festivals. I'm not okay with that. It's something that I would never want my kids to be exposed to. I blame Janice and Shannon for my daughter's lifestyle choices that she's made recently. It's a product of her environment.
Wayne blames Janice's wife, Shannon, for Darbi's disappearance, saying she exposed Darbi to drugs, sex, and porn. But Shannon says Wayne should only blame himself for Darbi going missing.
Wayne is immature, self-centered, uneducated. He's a racist, he's prejudiced, and he's a homophobe. He goes out of his way to make Janice's life miserable and seems to use the kids to hurt her. Wayne could be molesting Darbi. I asked her, does your dad say inappropriate things to you? And she goes, well, he makes comments about my boobs. And she says that as a result, she wears baggy shirts at home so he doesn't see, you know, her breasts. I've asked Darbi flat out, has your dad molested you? And she tells me no. And I definitely think she'd protect Wayne if she had to. Right now, when I even talk about that guy, my heart starts racing. He makes me anxious. I don't think he's a nice guy. I honestly don't want Wayne in my house. I don't want him near my house. If I could have my way, I would have him pick the kids up down the street.
Okay, Shannon, you two have been together how long?
3 years.
3 years. You said that you asked Darbi if her father had molested her. Mm-hmm. Why would you ask her something like that?
Multiple reasons. So, for one, the siblings say that Darbi has a different relationship with her dad. He treats her special and very different from the way he treats his other two kids. The inappropriate comments about her breasts. The fact that when he left Janice, he went right to a 19-year-old gal, and he was 32 or 33.
What do you say about that?
I would say that all that's untrue.
Figures you'd say
I
that,
don't
right?
believe one word of it.
I do not think that Wayne has
You
been
don't live in our
sexual.
home.
I do not, but I.
And you aren't there when this man comes to our home.
I am not.
And when he knocks on the door for 40 minutes, yelling through our window, Darbi, I'm not leaving without you. I'm not leaving without you. And to watch Darbi go from calm to just, I gotta go down there. My dad's not gonna leave unless I go down there.
I'm just saying, my opinion is very strongly that I 100% do not believe he has ever been sexually inappropriate with his daughter.
Well,
100%. I want everybody to know.
This isn't about him being sexually inappropriate. This is about Darbi.
That's a big accusation. That's a big accusation.
We have never prevented Darbi from having a relationship with Wayne.
But if you think he's sexually molesting her, then you should.
When the kids are at his house and Janice wants to speak to the kids, he doesn't allow the kids to contact her. And when he stole the kids back in, what was it, Wayne? October of 2014?
Well, what triggered that? Why was he concerned at that point?
Both kids told me that you told them to lie about being afraid to come back into our home so Darbi could stay with you.
My daughter called me and told me that they found you unconscious.
Asleep?
Janice called Darbi and told her that she was worried about you, that you may have committed suicide. Darbi finds you unconscious, whatever.
Asleep.
Did you overdose in front of her?
I did not. In fact,
did she?
No, she took 3 Xanax. It was a misunderstanding. She took 3 Xanax.
Did you think at the time she had overdosed?
I was worried about her, yes.
So I, as a caring father, go down there and take my kids out of this environment with the police backing me up, saying that it's an unsafe environment on multiple occasions.
They never said it was
and that's
unsafe.
it is true. It's in the police report.
We had CPS
when they came
come
over
to our house.
They were there for
after
10
you called
minutes,
them.
and they said, thank you very much.
You're right. The only reason that they
over.
would take kids away is if there was sexual or physical harm. Evidently, somebody doing drugs in front of them isn't enough.
They try to commit suicide with the kids.
Because they left the kids in the custody of Wayne, even though you had...
Twice.
Because they said they were afraid to come into our home.
But at the time, you believed that Shannon had overdosed.
I questioned it.
Then it seems to me that Dad stepping in and saying, this is not where you need to be right now, would seem to be a pretty rational response.
If you had maybe talked and knew more about the situation, Wayne doesn't come in like, hey, I'm going to save or I'm going to help my kids out. He comes in to say, you're a bad mom. I'm going to point fingers at you. How did she do at your house? How did she do when you removed them from the problem?
Great. They were doing fine until you came up and kidnapped them back.
We kidnapped Darbi when you dropped her
You
off
dropped
on the
her
front porch?
off with her bag and said, she's your problem now.
I never said that.
Word
you
for
did.
word.
No, I didn't.
She's your problem
And the fact
now.
that the kids want to be with you, I can't control that.
Why do they want to be with us if we're such horrible people?
You're not horrible people.
I
Janice
just
is a
listened to
loving,
what you
caring
said
mom.
about
But
me.
the fact that they're exposed to all this crap at your house isn't
Hey,
good for them.
first off, I've
We don't
never
use drugs.
I've never
and we
used
don't drink. So what are you talking about?
I've never used a drug in my life. I'm not the one that
It's
exposed
in
her
a
to
police
drugs.
report.
I'm beginning to start asking myself not why she ran away, but why not. With this chaos inside the home, you seriously wonder if she's running not to something, but away from something. Darbi has been missing since October 15th. A few days ago, she resurfaced on social media app, and her location was posted just 5 miles away from my studio. But was it really Darbi posting? Well, Janice took off in a search for her daughter. When we come back, we'll see what she uncovered. You don't want to miss that.
Her post shows here that she's within 1 mile of this area. I brought her here, and this is her favorite store, so I'm going to go in there and see if they've seen her.
Closed captioning provided by...
We've been tracking Darbi on social media. It said that she's in Venice Beach. We need to go there now. Her post shows here that she's within 1 mile of this area. Back home, Darbi liked to hang out at the skate park, so we're just checking areas that we know Darbi would like to be in. I brought her here, and this is her favorite store, so I'm going to go in there and see if they've seen her.
But I'm sure she was in here last week, one day last week.
Just a few days ago.
Just a few days ago.
You see her? Send me a text.
I'm the investigator that's been assisting Dr. Phil. This afternoon I spoke to a couple individuals and they know her. He was going to try to put me in touch with her today, but sadly he wasn't able to locate her this evening.
Do you know if she's okay?
He said that she looked okay.
It's like we're getting so close and yet it's not happening.
Well, Janice and Wayne's 16-year-old daughter, Darbi, has been missing since October 15th. Until a few days ago, when Darbi once again became active on her social media app, and it located her just 5 miles away from our studio. Now, they were unsuccessful in locating her, but Darbi's mother, Janice, says she's done everything she can to keep her daughter in line and keep her safe with no help from her ex, Wayne. Take a look.
So there's 5 of us that live here, me and my wife and my older daughter who's in college, and Darbi and her younger brother. I've tried all forms of discipline with Darbi. Take her cell phone, taken her door off, taken all of the items out of her room except for one outfit. I've also had her do a Janice boot camp. I will not give my address to older men. I will not steal. I will not use drugs. This is Darbi's room. She loves tie-dye and Bob Marley, stoner type stuff. This painting over here on her wall, she hand painted that when we moved into the house. These are items that Darbi uses to make bongs. After Darbi left, I went through everything trying to find clues of where I could find Darbi. She didn't take any of her belongings with her when she left. The most concerning thing I found in all this was a suicide letter inside of a diary that she had. I tried to drown myself in the bath to the song Breathe Me. I brought my razors too. I couldn't do it knowing I could breathe if I lifted my head 1 inch. Would definitely jump off a cliff instead. I was concerned that maybe she ran away to commit suicide. It breaks my heart to know she's in so much pain on the inside. Come home, Darbi.
I've been through the records, and I've looked at some of these diagnoses. She's been diagnosed with a major depressive disorder, and when you look at that, we're talking about a mood disorder characterized by a major depressive episode with no history of mania or hypermania. So that means she's not bipolar, it's just all down. And the characteristics of that are that there's an extended period of depressed mood or a loss of interest or pleasure in nearly all activities. So you've got her out on the street with this forlorn mindset of worthlessness and guilt and low self-esteem. She's also been diagnosed with a borderline personality disorder. And look at these words carefully. That is a pattern of disorganized, unstable relationships, self-image, and emotions. Now, look at that. A pattern of disorganized, unstable relationships, self-image, and emotions. Her relationships are disorganized and unstable. Her self-image is disorganized and unstable. Her emotions are disorganized and unstable. Anger, impulsiveness, frequent mood swings, and possibly brief psychotic episodes where she kind of checks out and has a difficult time differentiating fantasy from reality. These people are often intelligent and they can appear warm and friendly and competent until their defensive structure breaks down. And what you'll see then are frantic efforts to avoid abandonment. And that means they'll cling to almost anybody around them. They'll have unstable and intense relationships, which means they'll go from nothing to just really intense relationships, like they're just big in love, this all of a sudden. They have a very unstable self-image. They don't know who they are. I mean, it's like they don't value themselves. 1 minute they do, the next minute they don't. Impulsivity. They're apt to just run away. There's just no impulse control. They might be suicidal or self-mutilating behaviors. So I think they have the diagnoses right. I feel angry because it's such an exhausting process. Wayne, you say, I choose not to know all the details. Both of you are like observers. And later,
We're on the way to Santa Rosa, California to follow up on the lead.
Can I speak to you for a second?
Closed captioning provided by... If somebody values themselves, if they have high self-worth, they won't allow themselves to be exploited. They won't allow themselves to be used. They won't pump drugs into their veins. They won't allow some man, some guy, some boy they're dating, or some pimp on the street to use them because they have high self-worth. She does not. And you wonder why. You know, you look at statements that you've made, Wayne, you say, I don't know any of the details. I know she left on a Saturday afternoon. That's the extent of my knowledge. I'm trying to find Darbi by agreeing to do the show. I don't know what to do. I'm in Idaho. I don't know what to do to get Darbi back. I'm praying. Janice wanted me to call the sheriff's office and look up human trafficking. I didn't end up calling because I'm in Idaho and felt like, what was the point? I have a hard time with all the sex and drug use. I choose not to know all the details. I choose not to know. I know Darbi's been an escort and goes to clients' houses. I never really talked to her about the apps she uses other than saying I wouldn't put up with it if she moved here. I would say Darbi has a mental illness, but I don't really know what she has. I mean, it just goes on. And I looked at some of your statements. I'm angry because I've done so much. It's Wayne's lack of parenting that forced me to make decisions I wouldn't normally make. Darbi went missing on October 15th. I feel angry because it's such an exhausting process. It's been a lot of work for me. Everyone wants me to fix it. She is your daughter. I end up doing everything regardless of if Wayne is there or not. If he doesn't like the way I parent, maybe he should stop making excuses and get involved. The only time he gets involved is when something has gone wrong. I mean, both of you are like observers. You're in Idaho. She's here. I've been doing this for 45 years, and I've buried your daughter before. There have been parents that have sat in these stools on this stage and said, I wish I had had the chance to talk to you before my child died. I would have done things differently. Do you think that you have things to learn as a parent that can make this situation better?
Absolutely.
Do you think you have things to learn as a parent that can make this situation better?
I do.
Do the two of you believe that you can improve this situation by learning to co-parent in a productive way if somebody were to instruct you on how to do that?
Sure.
Yes.
You know, Camille says it's frustrating watching these two adults not come together for the sake of their daughter. Is there any way they can come together? Well, I'm going to tell you what needs to happen, because not only does she need to be found, she needs to be inspired to want to be part of this family. We'll be right back. When this girl gets found, and when she re-enters this family unit, she needs to look around and say, what happened? What in the world happened here? all of a sudden something's wrong, something's different. I can't divide and conquer anymore. They've stopped trashing one another. What happened? I went away and came home, and it's like my parents grew up. This young lady is at a real threshold in her life. It's going to go either really bad or it's going to take a turn for the better. And you're going to own that. And I'm going to extend an offer to both of you. I want to make sure that once we find Darbi, that she gets the help that she needs. So I ask Marcella Ronde, who's the clinical director and licensed marriage and family therapist for Polaris Teen, to be here today. Polaris Teen is an individualized residential mental health treatment for teens. And Marcella, thank you for being here. You've been listening to everything so far. She needs to step out of this world into a protected, structured, therapeutic environment for a period of time. And you guys have exactly what she needs, in my view.
We would love to help you guys when we find her.
She's got to have time. She's got to call a timeout and be taken out of the flow. She needs to get off social media. She needs to get off computers. She needs to get out of this fast pace, and she needs to be put in the shop. And simultaneously, there needs to be a family plan put in place here. And let me tell you something. You're on notice now. It is foreseeable. You continue to do what you're doing. Let me tell you something. When you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. And if you choose to continue this immature banter back and forth, you choose this blame game, you choose this finger pointing, you are choosing your daughter's demise. So you may do it, but do it knowing when you choose to vent your hurt, frustration, and all of this anger against your wife and her wife, you are choosing your daughter's demise. When you choose to point your finger at him and find all of the fault that you can find with him, you are choosing your daughter's demise. So you can do it, but you're on notice, because I'm telling you, when you do, you are choosing her demise, because this family is her base of operations. And when you pull it out from under her, down she goes. Closed captioning provided by... We're out of time for today, and there has been a whole lot of finger pointing and blaming between these parents that has diverted attention from what really matters. Now, tomorrow, we ride along as a detective pursues a lead that really, I think, has the possibility of leading us to where Darbi really is. Take a look.
We're on the way to Santa Rosa, California to follow up on the lead regarding the Darbi. Hey, Mike number 1, Objective B.
Can I speak to you for a second?
But it doesn't end there. A shocking phone call changes everything. You do not want to miss what happened.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil. A break in the case.
LAPD put Darbi into custody.
A dramatic rescue.
What condition was she in when you saw her?
She came out handcuffed, which was really a hard thing. I've never seen my daughter handcuffed. When we got to the police station, we weren't sure if Darbi would run.
Now.
She spent 24 days missing on the street. Where was she? Who was she with? How did she survive? Darbi is here.
A Dr. Phil exclusive.
I was hungry and I started stealing food.
You did this before, and it was a terrible experience. What made you do it again?
That's tomorrow.
All of that is tomorrow. I want to thank everybody for being here today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.